Something I've always wanted to know is how far I could get in each Skylander game with one life if I was using the best Skylander in that game. Well, in this video I finally put in the work into doing that for all 6 games. I assembled the best / most OP Skylander from each game and saw how far they could get me with just one life. Obviously picking the best Skylander for a game has a lot of subjectivity to it, but I tried looking at it with the most objective lens possible for picking each Skylander. The Skylanders chosen could be chosen for many reasons, whether it's attack damage, they have a lot of health, or they're just plain broken in that game. Anyway, enough talk, let's see how far I can get in the 6 Skylanders games with the most OP Skylander from each game. But before that, let me introduce you to something new. Sky Sleeves. But Skylander Gamer TV, what's a Sky Sleeve? Thank you, I'm glad you asked. Sky Sleeves are something new that the Skylander dude made that you can buy on this website. Here it is. If you're like me and you want to preserve some of your inbox Skylanders you have, the Sky Sleeves are the perfect way to do that. You can just pop a Skylander in one of these bad boys and boom, they're preserved. See, they even got this, you can hang them up on your wall if you really want to. Right now there are 2 types of Sky Sleeves out. SSA and Giants ones. SSA fit SSA characters since their boxes are bigger, and these fit Giants cores. They can also fit Swap Force cores too. These are also especially pretty cool if you have like a rare Skylander like me right here and you'd like to keep it in box and preserved. Look, you can even stack them on top of each other. Look at this. Ooh, right? Ooh. I know. It's pretty cool, right? Obviously, I'm not using the correct Skylander, but this is really the only Skylander I have in box, so I'm using this. They can kind of fit Trap Team cores, but yeah, if you want to keep and collect and preserve your inbox Skylanders, then Sky Sleeves is the way to go. Skylander Dude has a video on his YouTube channel, and like I said, here, boom, cool editing trick. Here's the website for it. I'll put it in the link in the description. Go check them out if you have inbox Skylanders. Let's get into the video. For Spyro's Adventure, I didn't even need to have to Google stats for Skylanders or ask other people. I already knew who it was. Drobot by far, in a way, is the best / most broken Skylander in the first Skylanders game. And on a game basis, maybe the most broken Skylander in the original game in the entire series. You can just hold on to his primary and mow down enemies in this game. However, Spyro's Adventure is a very long game, so I knew that if I slipped up, this run could easily be over quickly. That being said though, I knew the first couple of levels were going to be no trouble whatsoever. Oh my gosh, Hugo, please stop freaking yapping. First of all, hold up, let's see what we're working with. Max health 5. Critical hit 20, elemental power. This is a lie because, or actually, maybe not be, but I did go on this path. I don't really remember what that means though, to be honest with you. Alright, here we go. First enemies in the series, yeah, I mean, they're no match for Drobot. Jeez, dude. Okay, that was easy. Literally, like, 0 skill. This level's pretty much copy and paste to the last level. Extremely easy. Not going to take that much effort to get through. 5 minutes tops, but I mean we're already more than halfway through the level. That was a little easy. Like, I still absolutely despise this level. Could this be considered the first challenge in this challenge? The Goliath Dro? I don't actually. Oh wow, that was a lot. He died a lot quicker than I thought he would. Yep, that's yet again another super easy level. As I expected, I cruised to levels 1, 2, and 3. I don't even think I lost health at all during these levels. There was a bit of a slip up in level 4, however. I didn't know that the windbags in Stormy Stronghold could deal a decent amount of damage. But even after that, I still got through the level very easily. In Oil Spot Island, I again forgot that the tanks in the level deal a good amount of damage and got a decent amount of health taken off. But at the end of the day, it was still a very easy level to get through. And the same thing can be said about the next chapter, Dark Water Cove, which I thought it was going to give me some fits. But using Drobot in Spyro's Adventure is just a cheat code. Man, this level was a breeze. But that's the guy I was scared of, bro? Are you serious? That's so easy. However, I can't really say the same thing about the next level. In case you don't know, the first ever boss fight in the series is found in the chapter Leviathan Lagoon. I knew this coming in, and the actual evil Skylanders you have to fight have never given me trouble. But there was another part of this boss fight that I didn't realize would be so hard for me. But before that, the actual level of Leviathan Lagoon, like all the other early levels in Spyro's Adventure, was super easy with Drobot, not even losing 1 bit of health before the final boss fight. But it would actually become very important that that happened. Once I got to the boss fight, the first evil minion Chaos Spawn was Evil Zap, which was easy enough, but I forgot that in between fights, Chaos Spawn sharks that if you get close enough to but don't get hit by, will give you health, but if you get hit by them, it'll take away lots of health. I'm not gonna lie, one of the worst things I'm at this game is the shark challenge. Oh! Yo! No, God. Jeez Louise. Now, I don't know if it's just my controller or if it's a whole game-wide thing, but the controls, at least in Spyro's Adventure for Xbox 360, are super stiff. And I just kept getting bit by the sharks. I couldn't get out of the way in time, and by the end of the sequence, I was down to less than half of my health. But thankfully, I was able to get the food that Evil Zap dropped when I defeated him, and it was back to 428 health. After that, Chaos spawned Evil Gilgrunt, who I completely mowed down. But that meant that I had to go through another shark attack sequence, and this time, I did even worse. Okay, I think this shark thing's a little BS. I don't think they're not really even touching me. Okay. By the end of it, I was down to just 165 health, by far the least I've had in the entire run. So once Chaos spawned Evil Slam Bam, I quickly ran to the food dropped by Evil Gilgrunt, then swiftly took out Evil Slam Bam. Once that happened, Chaos spawned all 3 evil minions. Luckily, when he does this, their health always gets reduced by a lot since you have to fight 3 at the same time, and I was able to defeat all of them before the sharks came back again. And with that level being over, I would say we officially had our first scare of the playthrough. After that little difficulty spike, however, the next level, Crystal Eye Castle, which I thought could be some trouble, was over pretty easily too. And even quicker was the next level, Stone Town. Now, Stone Town does have a boss fight, but it's one of the most fraudulent in the series. This Joker stood no chance for Drobot, and that's another chapter done without a sweat. And the exact same thing could be said about Treetop's Terrors. No boss fights, nothing. Super easy level. However, Falling Forest, the chapter after that, would feature the first real boss fight we've had since Leviathan Lagoon. And well, we saw how that one played out. I think this shark thing's a little BS. I don't think they're not really even touching me. So this time I tried to make sure I was more locked in for the fight, but it turned out it wasn't even really needed. Drobot completely torched Evil Zook, Evil Stealth Elf, and Evil Stump Smash. Now that Falling Forest was over, I was halfway through the game, and still only one scare throughout the entire playthrough. And it was going to stay like that for now, as Troll Warehouse, Goo Factory, and Battlefield were all effortless. Cop cuties, cutin' on duty, baby blue booty, go ahead and lock me up. Arrest me. But once I got done with Battlefield and saw T-Bone, I knew what was coming soon in the playthrough. You see, the boss fight at the end of the undead levels pretty much owns me. I don't think I've ever completed it without a Skylander being defeated. But first I had to get through the first 2 undead levels, which I was able to do. Crawling Catacombs and Cadaverous Crypt have always just been more annoying levels to get through than hard. But now Creepy Citadel was up next. The actual level of Creepy Citadel, much like Leviathan Lagoon, is not hard at all. But once I got to the gateway to the boss fight, I'm not gonna lie, I was scared. Okay. Here we go. I'm scared. The first evil minion Chaos created was Ghost Roaster, who I had to attack in between him going into Ghost form and regular form. And Ghost Roaster almost landed a big hit on me, but I was able to defeat him milliseconds right before he got a hit on me. Next up was Evil Chop Chop, who was not as hard, but it did take me longer to get rid of him because of that shield he has that blocks damage. After that was Evil Hex, who got a good hit on me, but it actually launched me back into the food that Chop Chop dropped when I defeated him, and then I defeated Hex. Then Chaos spawned all 3 evil minions, and I actually completely destroyed them. I mean, there wasn't even a scare in this fight. I tore down each section of it, which was not what normally happens in this fight, for me at least. And after the boss fight, I was 100% confident that I was gonna get to the end of the game, especially because of the following level, Mullican Mine. It is one of the most light work levels in the entire series, which I got done with very quickly. Next up was Lava Lakes Railway, which was gonna be the fire boss fight, which I'm not gonna lie, I completely underestimated. Getting to the boss fight was easy enough, and the first fire minion was Evil Flameslinger, who got dismantled pretty much right away. Evil Sunburn next got a couple cheap shots on me because of his teleporting ability, and that got me down to 316 health. But I was quickly able to get his food he dropped and got a good chunk of that health back. Now, something I didn't remember about this section is the fire spell. It is maybe the hardest spell to avoid in the game. First of all, when it hits you, it almost always moves you into other parts of the spell, which will deal even more damage to you, and it's just a hard spell to avoid sometimes. But now Evil Eruptor was spawned by Chaos, and he got destroyed, but I wasn't able to pick up his food in time, which kept me at 330 health, and that very quickly went down to 286 when Chaos spawned all 3 fire minions and Sunburn teleported right into me. In that moment, I was scared. I was scared it could all end there, which makes this point the second scare of the playthrough. However, that quickly went away once I was able to defeat Evil Sunburn and get his food for some health. Then right after that, I mowed down Evil Eruptor, and Evil Flameslinger by himself was no match for Drobot, and just like that, the level was done. Overall, I didn't expect the difficulty that the fire bosses gave me. It's not like I didn't know it was a hard fight, but I think it was just a high of getting through the undead level. It made me kind of be off guard for this fight. But after this, again, I was 100% confident I would make it to the last level. I'm making it to the final level. Okay. Everything between this and the final level is so... I'm making it to the final level. I'm making it to the final level. Like, I don't know what to say. I'm making it to the final level. In case you don't know, the following level, Quicksilver Vault, is my favorite level in the entire Skylander series. It's not really a hard level, but all the vibes are immaculate, as the kids say. Okay, what am I, a freaking unk? Why did I say that? Why did I put that in the script? But like I already mentioned, it wasn't hard at all to get through, and I was on my way to Archean Armory, the penultimate level of the game. And if you hate turret sections, you're probably going to hate this level because half of it is just a giant turret section. But after that, you just have to defeat a couple enemies, then grab the Eternal Magic Source, and we're off to the final level of the game, Lair of Chaos. The section before the final boss is easy, apart from when you need to ride 2 of the most boring platforms in the entire game. You need to take these platforms to get keys to open a gate, but oh my gosh, they take forever, and they'll also try to kill you. So you just have to stand on either the back or the front of the entire platform the entire time and not move. But finally, after what felt like forever, I got past the gate and got on the final platform of the level that sent me to the Chaos fight. Now, I'm going to be honest, it's been years since I played the Chaos boss battle from Spyro's Adventure, so I was going into this with, at best, a fuzzy memory of how the fight works. All I knew for sure is that Chaos would summon some minions and spells. The first evil minion Chaos threw at me was Slam Bam, which was easy, then Stealth Elf, which again, wasn't hard. After that, Chaos just started spamming spells, and I guess now is the best time to mention, this is a horrible boss fight. Like, I get the concept of having aspects from older boss fights in the final boss, but making it the entire fight just gets rid of the opportunity to provide a new type of boss for the player. Like, these are the only types of boss fights we have seen this entire game, and now I have to do it for the finale too? Disgusting. Anyway, eventually Chaos spawned both Slam Bam and Stump Smash, who were both swiftly defeated by yours truly. But then Chaos brought in Evil Eruptor, and he got a lot of hits on me. However, I was able to pick up some cheese for some health, and then after an in-game cutscene where Chaos brings in some new minions, I somehow was at 17 health, which I have no idea how. Look at the gameplay right before the break in the fight. You can clearly see I was at 269 nice health. And then for some reason after that, I was at 17, and even worse, the food that Eruptor should have dropped despawned. But I mean, I was at 17 health, and I wasn't even halfway through the fight. The writing was on the wall, but a badly timed in-game cutscene happened, and Chaos defeated my Drobot. Yeah. Damn. First I want to say it was BS. I didn't get my food. I should have gotten my food right there. But, you know, that's just how the game goes sometimes, unfortunately. Yeah, it does suck that I got this far. Just like, you know, if I had lost in like Creepy Citadel to the undead ones or whatever, it wouldn't like be as painful right now. But losing like on the final level, dude, especially because of the like I didn't get that food, it just disappeared. That sucks. But you know, we got to the final level at least. Time for Giants. So after my Drobot experience, I gotta say, I didn't know just how broken this dude is in SSA. He is legitimately a cheat code in this game. I mean, they didn't even attempt to balance Drobot. That is why he is in this video though. When it comes to just playing Drobot in SSA, it can be a little bit boring because this game is just super easy to get through with him. Like, you can just spam the A button and then he just mows down enemies. With that being said, in 22 chapters of Spyro's Adventure, there is only a total of 2 scares in the entire run, which is an average of 1 scare for every 11 chapters. I thought I did pretty well on this run, just a bit disappointed that I didn't finish the game when I was right there. But anyway, let's get to Giants. After some pretty long decision making, I was down to 4 candidates on who I thought objectively the best or most OP Skylander to use in Giants was. Those 4 were Tree Rex, Eyebrawl, Swarm, and Hothead. And while all of these Giants are great, one of them is not like the other. Swarm, unlike any other Giant, actually has good speed. Well, at least for a Giant. Eyebrawl and Tree Rex do have great attack damage, but they are very slow, and while Hothead does have the motorcycle ability, it's very clunky and not really usable. Swarm with his flight move can actually get around fairly quickly, and he can even attack while in the flight mode, and his attacks while in flight mode do a great amount of damage too. So that being said, after I decided Swarm would be the character, I booted up Giants and got right into the game. To the shock of, I'm sure, no one, the first level, Time of the Giants, was over and done with very quickly. I didn't even lose a single bit of health during this level at all. And once again, the second level of the game, Junkyard Isles, posed no threat to Swarm. It wasn't until level 3 of Giants Rumbletown that Swarm finally got damaged for the first time in this run. I was actually a bit concerned about this level just because of the arena battle at the end of the level. Rumbletown is kind of a landmark level in the series when you think about it. It's the first level in the series to feature an arena battle. But even with my concerns, the arena battle was effortless and Rumbletown was over.
Brock just wanted to be liked. Thought the Skylander would make the crowd happy. Was that wrong?
Yes it was. Next up is the chapter that introduces the best card game in all of Skylands, Cutthroat Carnival. The 4th level of Giants keeps the streak of bringing new things to the Skylanders series with Skystones. But Skystones was not what I was worried about entering this level. Cutthroat Carnival near the end of the level has enemies known as Executioners, which deal a whole lot of damage if you're not careful. And even though I tried to be careful, after I got past the Executioners, I was down to 534 health. Fortunately, by the time I got to the final battle of the level, I was back above 600 health. The final battle was a breeze surprisingly, and to finish the level I just had to win a Skystones match. Unfortunately, one of my least favorite levels in the series was up next, which is Glacier Gully. Just a very blah level, but there is one part of the level that is decently challenging. Unless you're using Swarm apparently, because the section I'm referring to is near the end of the level when you obtain the last key needed to open a gate, and you have to fight multiple enemies before being granted a jump pad to leave the section. But real quick fun fact about this chapter is they plan to have a boss fight at the end of Glacier Gully, but they scrapped it because I guess they just wanted this level to suck even more. With that being said, level officially over. The sad thing is we're going back to back with bad chapters because the following chapter is Secret Vault of Secrets, which too is a bad level in its own right. But is it a hard level? Guess we're about to find out. You enter the level in a turret section, which should already tell you why I don't like this level. Every now and again you exit the turret and face some enemies, and the enemies you face are some pretty heavy enemies this early in the game. There are a lot of Bark Demons and Juggernauts, which can be hard to get through. But an enemy that is seen a lot in this level are Archean Jousters, and while they don't have that much health, as the enemies mentioned, they are very annoying to deal with since they have a shield around them at most times. By the halfway point of the level, I was down to 523 health, not a good amount. But thankfully I ran into my good pal Auric. You know, it's not cheating if the level gives you the ability to use it. Just saying. And I also got some food. My last challenge in this level was facing the last Juggernaut, which took some time since they do have a lot of health, but after he was finished, this level was finished too. That was probably the hardest level, yet still not as scary to play through. After the Vault of Secrets was the first boss fight level in Giants, Willikin Village, featuring the beloved Chompy Mage. The level before the fight was light work, and well, Chompy Mage was also light work. I did think before entering the level that he could be challenging, but I guess I was wrong. But to be fair, it doesn't really help the boss fight difficulty that you can heal up pretty much during the entire fight. Dude, oh my goodness, bro. I need better freaking cards. I'm gonna do this one more time, and if I don't get it again, I don't even know if I have to play this game. Trollholm Security was up next, and despite having a lot of high damaging areas, I was near the end of the level with a good amount of health, until a group of troll grenaders hit me with their grenades, which brought me down to 404 health, which also was the lowest I have gotten during the run. So I had to lock in real quick, and thankfully the final battle of Trollholm Security was just a weak excuse for a final battle, and I was done with this level. You know, I wasn't originally going to because I have gotten to lower health at different points in this run, but I'm going to count the time where the Troll Grenaders got me to 404 health as a scare. At that moment, I was genuinely scared the run could end. And it's fitting that I got my first scare on this level because since this level is done, we're now officially halfway through Giants, just 8 more levels to go. The first level with a battle arena since Rumbletown Chaos's Castle was the ensuing chapter. This level, more than any level before, I was worried about, and that was for good reason. To start the chapter though, I was doing great, still being at 902 health entering the Chaos Castle, despite facing some hard enemies. But once I got into the castle, things got real fast. The enemies that you fight when you enter Chaos's Castle are an assortment of some of the most annoying enemies in the entire series. Armored Mohawk Cyclops, Troll Grenaders, and Archean Cracklers. I was losing health fast, and after I ran into the aforementioned Crackler, I was at 395 health. a new low. But I was able to defeat the last crackler, and after that I thought the fight was over, but to my dismay I saw a bunch more armored Mohawk Cyclops running down the stairs straight to me. Then it got even worse when I saw Troll Stompers coming to join the fight too. And the cherry on top, Troll Grenaders were throwing their grenades down at me, and there was nothing I could do since they were out of reach. After a Cyclops got me with an axe, I was all the way down to 195 health. After narrowly dodging each attack that was thrown at me, I was able to defeat a Mohawk Cyclops, which dropped food, which only got me to 295 health, but it was something at least. But still, I mean, the writing was on the wall. I had a super low amount of health, and there were still 2 Troll Stompers and a Grenader to defeat. The only thing is, I locked in. I found an exploit where if I went all the way to the far corner of the area, the enemies won't attack me. So I would just slowly come in and out of that area until I got one of the Troll Stompers down. With one of them gone, I had a lot more room to work with. First, I defeated the last Grenader, and then it was just me and the Troll Stomper, which I too defeated. Oh my goodness. Yo, what a clutch. Oh my, what, that has to be like top 10 clutches. Oh, shoot, I didn't even finish it. Please don't. Dude, that had to be a top 10 most clutch moment in Skylander Gamer TV history. Oh my goodness. Dude, I need to get my health up though, jeez. That's correct, past me. That is a top 10 clutch moment. I mean, I wish there was some graph out there that could calculate the probability of me dying there, because, I mean, whoa. That was super close. And yeah, that's the second scare of the run. I cannot lose my health on like any dumb stuff. Ow, okay, well... Great. Anyway, after that I immediately lost health and was down to 171. But thanks to some food and auric, by the time I got to the arena battle, I was at a cool 931 health. You know, once again, I was a bit disappointed by the arena battle difficulty. Like, obviously I want to beat the level, but I just expected more of a challenge from these arena battles. But finally, Chaos's Castle was over. I think probably one of the biggest sleeper hard levels in the entire series is Aerial Attack. I don't hear many people talk about it as one of the harder levels, but to me at least, it's always been a bit of a task to get through this level unscathed. Very unfortunately, however, we start the level with a turret section, which has to be a bad omen of some sorts, because why do these things even exist? The worst thing is, after defeating some enemies, after this you have to do a second turret section. Just great. The real challenge of this level though starts once you get on the ghost ship. The first part of the ghost ship spawns a jawbreaker, and while you can avoid their attacks most of the time, when they land and attack, they take out a bunch of health. I went from 1022 to 661 health after just one hit by a jawbreaker. So already at the beginning of the ghost ship part of the level, I just had over a bit of half of my health left. After this part, you have to go across the ghost ship and fight some more enemies, and after that fight I was down to 544 health. And because Swarm is a big old giant, getting through the spinning blades on the ship is a tad bit harder, so I also got damaged by those too. And by the time I got to Orc to get my health boost, I was down to 392 health. But after getting some food and letting the health boost do its work, I was at 696 health. And during the final battle of the level, I once again was hit by a jawbreaker, which brought me down significantly. But that was the only part of the fight I got damaged, and this silently hard level was over. Alright, here it is, Drillex's big rig, and whoa, this level is actually really easy. At least until the final boss fight. I mean, I just really thought the beginning part of this level was going to be harder, but nope, it was a breeze. And when it comes to the Drillex fight, which is awesome by the way, it took until round 3, which is the final round of the fight, for it to get a bit challenging. In this part, Drillex smashes his drill into the ground, which makes a bunch of shockwaves, but I found it very hard to avoid these, so a bunch of these shockwaves hit me and I actually got down to 279 health, but I don't think that accurately represents the fight. It really wasn't that bad, and I was able to end the fight right before anything else happened. And now, the best singing robot of all of Skylands has been defeated. There we go. And you're dead.
What did you do, Skylander? You just won the final round. I can't keep a beat there. And our systems are all shutting down.
Mullican Mountain is always a level that I forget is near the end of Giants. I don't know why that is, maybe it just doesn't give off near the end level vibes, but let me tell you, it had the challenge of one. I got through the first parts of this level just fine, but there is this one part of the level where a bunch of Mohawk Cyclops attack you in a very small area, and being a giant, obviously that makes this part a bit tougher. By the time the Cyclops were finished, I was at 540 health. Then these... Okay, what even are these? Okay, apparently these slobbering Muticuses appeared, and if the arena was, I mean, just a bit bigger, I would have been fine, but it wasn't, and I got slapped by one of them and got down to 270 health. Oddly enough, I didn't get scared during this part though. I guess it was just because I knew the other Muticus was at low health and I was able to defeat both of them. A little bit later, I found myself in this area with floor spikes and oh my goodness, my worst enemy, Troll Grenaders. But it wasn't the troll that almost ended this run, it was the floor spikes. Out of my way. After that moment, I was down to 138 health, and yep, I was completely scared. At this time, the run was almost over. Thankfully though, there were no more enemies after this until the arena battle at the end of this level. The first round of the battle was super easy like always, and thankfully at the end of each round you get food, and I was back up to 578 health. In the arena battle in this level, there are spinning spikes surrounding it, and I stupidly just stood there still as one hit me, and I ended up getting hit by it twice. So after that, I was down to 262 health. What? Oh, dude, you're kidding, right? I forgot about that part. Ooh, oh, okay. Oh, okay. And even when I got my health back up a little, I again got hit by one of these spinning spikes and was down at 182 health. And for the first time in this entire video, we have 2 scares in one level, because right there, once again, I was scared the whole run could end. But luckily I was able to lock in and end the round and get some more food, and was finally able to defeat the arena battle. Jeez, I got real close to ending 2 times in this level. But now we're off to the Oracle, and the first path I chose was the spider path, which I believe was the easier path. Then the next decision, I chose the small fish path because again, pretty sure it's the easier path. Then I chose the princess path, and yep, that was definitely the correct decision. And then the final path, I chose the speed one, and I think I chose wrong here. Well, wow, okay, yeah. I should not have, dude, there's no way. There's actually no way. I kind of forgot about how this path works, and choosing the giant even swarm for a speed path was definitely the wrong decision. After that, I was down to 284 health, but it didn't really matter because the level was over. Also, the Oracle said my name, so that was cool.
Flynn, Kelly, Hermit, and of course, Sword.
He said my name, he knows my name. Alright, next up is Auto Gyro Adventure. The first part of this level is pretty boring, to be honest. You go from flying to doing laser puzzles. But finally I got to the part where you land in what I'm assuming is Arcus in this level, and immediately got hit by a duelist and was down to 133 health. And yep, that's scare 5 of the run. But what after felt like forever, I finally got done with this part of the level. But after this, I think I probably made the biggest mistake of this run. So when I saw Crystal Golem, instead of fighting him in the circular area he was originally spawned in, I went back down this narrow puzzle area before because honestly I don't even know why. Like I said, big mistake. Unfortunately for me, the Crystal Golem is probably the worst enemy in the entire series to be stuck in a narrow area with. I knew that in order to live I needed to get around the golem, and when I did, that sucks. I don't know if going back down was the best idea. Maybe staying up there was probably a better idea. I don't know if I would have lived. Giants is a pretty hard game. I believe. So, you know, we got to what, the third to last level because we still had the Velocity of Arcus. Then so didn't do as good as the last run, but you know, Giants is a pretty hard level. There's some places that, you know, maybe could have died if I didn't. But yeah, on to the next game, Swap Force. Unfortunately, for the second straight time, I did not complete the game. This time, instead of failing on the final level, I failed 2 levels short of that, being defeated on the 14th level of a 16 level game. To be fair though, this playthrough there were 5 scares instead of just 2 scares in Spyro's Adventure. Giants was definitely a harder game overall. So with 14 levels being played and 5 scares, that means there was 1 scare for every 2.8 levels. I just really hope that one of these playthroughs I will be able to beat the game. So now the question is, who's the most OP swapper in Swap Force? Now, just to be clear, I wasn't going to use a swapped combo for this run. I thought that'd be kind of cheating, so because I wasn't going to use a swap combo, I originally thought maybe I should use Night Shift because he has multiple lives. But outside of that, I really just don't think he's that good of a Skylander to use, so then I thought of Free Ranger just because he's one of my favorite swappers, but eventually I actually ended up choosing Spyro for this run. And there's 2 big reasons why. First of all, he has an ability where he can go up into the sky and avoid damage for about 4 seconds, and if that isn't OP, then I don't know what is. But he also has an attack where when an enemy is at low health and you hit your primary to defeat them, it will actually give you health, and yeah, again, that is OP as heck. So I decided to use Spyro for this run. At this point in the video, I feel like it's almost redundant to even talk about the first couple of levels because, I mean, we all know I'm going to get through them, but yes, I got through Mount Cloudbreak and Cascade Glades just fine. There was a bit of a slip up in level 3 Mudwater Hollow just because of the stupid raft section in the level. I mean, seriously, does one mine need to do this much damage? But I still got through the level. Dude, this level is so freaking annoying because the bombs take off so much more health than they should. Like, oh my god, they take off so much health. So like if you get unlucky, because these controls are stiff as heck, oh my god, you can freaking die. You can die quick. Now the next chapter, Rampant Ruin, is also one of the better levels in the series in my opinion, is when Swap Force finally got a tiny bit difficult. I mean, the level was pretty easy, but compared to the first 2, it was a bit more challenging. And look, it's the Stone Monkey. The Stone Monkey! Bro, it's the Stone Monkey, let's go bro, it's the Stone Monkey. Something I never understood about Swap Force was why the big boss fights in the game got labeled as their own levels, instead of just having them at the end of the levels. The only thing I can think of is to pad out the level length, but the next level, I guess you could say, is Jungle Rumble, aka the Evilized Glumshanks boss fight. And no joke, this might be the easiest boss fight I have played during this entire video. I think the only other boss fight that was about this easy was the Stone Golem, all the way at the end of Stone Town, all the way back to the beginning of Spyro's Adventure. This boss fight was just way too easy, and to be honest with you, Swap Force to me has always felt like the Skylanders game that has always been the most geared towards kids, and it's showing right now because of how easy this game is so far. I mean, it is the easiest start to the game out of any of the games I've played so far in this run. Anyway, next up is Iron Jaw Gulch.
According to the map, Iron Jaw Gulch is somewhere to the west. East. Either way, we're heading in the wrong direction. Probably. You know what? It'll be fine.
That's one of my favorite Flynn moments in the entire series. And actually, this level is a lot easier than Rampant Ruins. The only time I guess my health got down by a bit was inside the giant hat in the level when I got hit by a fire gear golem and got down to 648 health. But a second after that I got healed up, so it didn't even really matter. Our next task is to finish Montleyville, which unlike most of the levels features a boss fight inside the level. Later on in the level you have to fight Evilized Whiskers, which usually is painless, but there was a section of the fight where low-key I wasn't paying attention to the game and didn't realize that Whiskers was attacking me, and I got down to 269 health. But after that I decided to pay attention to the game and defeated Whiskers very easily. And the Baron Von Shellshock boss fight was done with quickly too. He's a funny guy though.
Ignorant Kartoffelgeist! You have not seen the last of Baron Von Shellshock!
What did he just call us?
Okay, so once again, after a harder level, the next level immediately gets way easier. Twisty Tunnels for a level that's pretty much halfway through the game is incredibly light. I mean, there's really not that much to talk about with this level. I guess during the turret section, since Swap Force made the awful decision to make damage dealt in the turret do damage to your Skylander, I got down to 492 health, but that's it. Now, the boss fight level after Twisty Tunnels Serpent's Peak was a bit more difficult. There was this part of the fight where I got launched by an invisible force backwards into a molten rock, which got me down to 299 health, and seriously, I have no idea what happened here, just look at the game footage, but it didn't end up mattering because thanks to Spyro's air attack, I was able to get past the 3 fire gear golems instead of having to deal with them, and was able to end the boss fight. Boney Islands was a pretty nothing level after what was a pretty challenging boss fight. Not really any part of the level where I was even a tad bit worried, but once again I had to go through another stupid turret section. And pretty much the exact same thing can be said about Winter Keep. The only problem I had this level is that apparently if you go up into the sky with a shovel, you find during the level it glitches the shovel out of the game and you need the shovel to finish the level. What the heck? Where the heck did my shovel go? Are you serious right now? Seriously? Oh my gosh. Dude, do I gotta restart this stupid freaking level? This game sucks, dude. Oh my god. Okay, what is up with these snow levels? Because the Frostfest Mountains, again, is brain-numbingly easy. Not one single slip-up in the entire level, which honestly is kinda surprising based on how long these Swap Force levels are. I'm spending almost 15 to 25 minutes on levels that should not be taking this long when I'm just trying to finish them and not get any collectibles. The next dedicated boss fight is after Frostfest, which is Mesmeralda's show. And once again, it seems like it's going to be another easy boss fight, and whoa, wait a second, why did it just get hard all of a sudden? I went from 474 health and feeling like this was another nothing boss fight to 88 health and fearing for my life in like 2 seconds. I mean, just look how close I was to death. I landed right next to one of Mesmeralda's blades after being knocked back by an enemy. If I was just a couple of pixels closer to that blade, this run would be over. And I was at 88 health for a considerable amount of time, but thankfully near the end of the fight, pizzas started spawning and I got my health back up a decent amount. And I was able to finish off Mesmeralda, and finally, after over 75% of the game is done, we have our first scare of the run. It took long enough. There we go, jeez Louise. Oh my goodness, that was way too harder than it had to be. For a level that's almost the last level of the game, Phantasm Forest does not look like one, nor does it feel like one, because this level is keeping up with the theme of easy levels right after hard ones. Like, yes, obviously I want to beat the run, but I mean, this is the 4th to last level in the game, and if you don't count dedicated boss fight levels as levels, it's actually the 2nd to last level in the game. Also, the most forgettable chaos boss fight in the entire series is at the end of this level, so that's cool, I guess. Now for the last real level in the game, Chaos's Fortress, and you know what? It wasn't a completely easy level to get through. It was somewhat difficult, so that's a step up. There was a point in this level where a mine miner hit me twice and got me down to 231 health, but I never got lower than that for the rest of the entire level. But now we're on to the final 2 levels of the game, which aren't even really levels, but let's get to them. First is the Chaos's Mom fight. The Chaos's Mom boss fight is set up in multiple arenas, and our first arena was done with and over quickly. I like how Chaos's Mom hides inside the portal during this fight, and it makes you have to take off your Skylander to find her. I'm honestly surprised they never tried anything like this again in the series. Her second arena too, I went through untroubled. In the third and last arena, we get to fight Bubba Greaves first, which isn't that hard, and now we finally get to fight Chaos's Mom, and I totally forgot that there is no Chaos Mom boss fight. You just have to make her point her laser into the mirror, and it's over. I love the fact that they gave us a Bubba freaking Greaves boss fight in Swap Force, but not a Chaos's Mom boss fight. That is insane. But now that Chaos's Mom is dealt with, we only have one thing standing in the way of the first completed run of the video. And that thing is super tweaked off Evil Eye's Crystal Chaos. And I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty confident about this fight going into it. So to start off the fight, I kind of forgot how the battle worked and got hit by Chaos's foot right away and was already down to 516 health to start. I tried to avoid his foot entirely by going into the air with Spyro, but I forgot that when he slams his foot on the ground, it sends out shockwaves, and I landed right down on one of those shockwaves again and was down to 323 health. Okay, not a good way to start the fight, but I was able to get past the rest of the section without taking any damage. Now it was time for the Chaos Mouth part of the battle. To start, I was doing great, destroying his teeth crystals and defeating Gear Golems with Spyro's health steal ability and got up to 562 health. But then Chaos put the 2 most annoying Gear Golems in his mouth at the same time, the air one and the tech one. I was doing fine for a minute, but then both the tech and Gear Golem hit me and I was down to 162 health. Then the tech Gear Golem hit me one more time and I was down to 35 health. Was Swap Force the game that I got through with the least amount of trouble about to end this run in the most heartbreaking way? Both the Gear Golems were still alive and I had 35 health in a very close space. But I was not going to be bested by 2 Gear Golems. I was able to defeat the tech one with the Spider Sting ability, and I got some of his health and I got back to 121 health, which isn't that much, but it isn't 35. Then, after a long time since I was being so careful, I was able to defeat the Air Gear Golem, but I wasn't able to steal any of his health, unfortunately. But I finally finished this section of the fight and got to go to the Chaos Brain section next. Chaos spawned a bunch of oversized enemies, and I was able to defeat each of them with a Spider Sting attack and got my health up to 595. You know, that's why Spyro is in this video, man. What a clutch ability that is to steal health. I was able to defeat some more enemies and ended the brain section of the battle with 694 health. I was now in the final part of the fight, and victory for the first time in this video was right at my fingertips. All I had to do was get to the cannon at the end of the area I was in, and the fight was over. Chaos tried to stop me with his hand blast ability, which he did get me with one time, but after that I was able to use Spyro's air ability and avoid them. Then I was just a couple steps away from the cannon. Come on. Come on. Come on. You know, I had a feeling coming into Swap Force that I would finally get it done in this game. Hold up. Yeah, I just had a feeling that I would finally get it done with Swap Force. I think the Vicarious Vision games have always been the ones that, at least to me, are a lot easier. I think that the Vicarious Vision games are a lot easier than the Toys for Bob games. So I did have a feeling that coming into this, I would finally be able to do it. That I'd finally be able to beat the game. And really, I've gained a lot of respect for what's his name, Spyro. I mean, he's actually a really great Skylander. That ability where he can heal when he attacks enemies on low health, that's actually a really freaking good attack. And you saw that in the very end, that came in clutch where he can jump into the sky. I thought I'd actually use that a lot more, but I ended up not using it. But no, yeah, he's definitely the most OP Skylander probably in Swap Force. I mean, we got through the whole game with him without him dying once. So we finally did it. You know, we finally did it. Next up is a very tall task in Trap Team, so we'll see what we do. But I am glad that I finally did. I did get one, and right. And I guess the credits just ended right there because my controller battery just died. Hold up. I mean, that wasn't it though. Yeah, I'm just, yeah, very happy. Okay, guess it didn't. Yeah, very happy. Like I said, Trap Team is a very tall task. So we'll see what we do there. But as for now, finally did it. I got through one of the games, and yeah, see y'all on Trap Team. Man, it just feels so good knowing that Trap Team is next that I finally won one of these challenges. I will say Swap Force without a doubt was the easiest game I played so far, but maybe that's also just because I'm the go to Swap Force. Probably not. Either way, a win is a win, and I don't care if it seemed easier than normal. Also, I didn't count it yet just because I didn't want to give away the fact that I did make it out of the fight alive, but the moment I got down to 35 health with 2 gear golems, still to fight was definitely the second scare of the run. And with 2 scares and 17 levels, that's 1 scare for every 8.5 chapters, which is higher than Giants' per level but lower than Spyro's Adventures. But like I already said, the next game is Trap Team, which is the hardest game in the series, so let's see how far I can get. So now it is time to play by far the most challenging game in this series, Trap Team. A hypothesis I had going into this playthrough is that Trap Team might actually have the lowest scare per level in the entire video. Just because most likely if I run into a scare in Trap Team, I'm probably going to get defeated because of the constant difficulty spikes in this game. Oh yeah, and by the way, I'm going to use Wallop for this run. I feel like everyone knew it was going to be Wallop, but just wanted to make sure everyone knew that he is OP. Also, if I don't have to fight a boss fight, then I'm not going out of my way to fight it. Anyway, let's get into the game. You know, even the first level of Trap Team is still going to be a breeze, so let's enjoy that while we can. Soda Springs presented no challenge to me. Nodal Island is the next chapter, and it was also easy, but it's still very early in the game. Unfortunately though, for me, next is Chompy Mountain. Chompy Mountain, without a doubt, is the hardest early level in the entire series. Now, the reason for this isn't actually the level itself, it's the boss fight at the end of the level. I was pretty much at full health going into the battle, so I felt pretty good. The fight starts out by just defeating Chompies, which is easy and I got through fast. But the main problem with the fight was when Chompy Mage went into Chompy form. In this form, when he jumps, he sends out shockwaves. While being a bigger Skylander, it's harder for him to avoid them, and he has a bigger hitbox, so he's more likely to fall on them. If Chompy Mage was just standing there still, I'd be just fine, but he jumps around, so there's a lot of waves everywhere. And even worse, after the first wave of these shockwaves, I only hit Chompy Mage one time. After this, Chompy Mage went into his magma form, which is just a harder version of what happened last time, and I was already at half health. However, I was able to get a lot of hits on Chompy Mage before he started jumping around. After he stopped jumping, Chompy got one hit on me, but then I decimated him. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out! I own you, Chompy Mage. Let's go. I'm not gonna lie, that millisecond between the hit and me destroying him, I got scared. This battle was really weird because there would be times where I would hit Chompy Mage and it would do like no damage at all, and other times where I hit him and it just did a ton, as you can see. But Chompy Mage was defeated and we had our first scare of the run. Phoenix Sanctuary was up next, and since there wasn't any Doom Raider to fight in this level, it wasn't hard at all. Wallop got through it just fine. But in the next chapter, we have our next Doom Raider boss fight, Chef Pepperjack. This time, I did actually have full health entering the boss fight. However, it turned out I didn't really even need it. Pepperjack was a complete joke compared to Chompy Mage. I do not remember this boss fight being that easy, but it was. Throughout the entire fight, I only lost a smidge of health. So far, so good, and I know this is still the beginning of the game, but Trap Team has always been the hardest game for me to get through, even in the early portions of the game. Alright, Rainfish Riviera was next, and it actually was probably harder than Chef Zeppelin. For a long time, I was going through the level okay, but then I got to the part of the level where you're on the ship. But before that, I just want to say that I think my controller might be broken because to even get on the ship, you need to use a crane to move objects off the ship. And for whatever reason, when I used the left joystick to go up, it would never work on the first try. Anyway, I was pretty annoyed by that, so I just wanted to get this level over with when I got to the ship. I was getting right up close to enemies and defeating them, and that works since they don't have that much health. But I also tried this for Brawl and Chain, a villain boss fight, and I got pieced up by him. It never got so bad to where I was genuinely scared the run was going to end, but I left that fight with a lot less health than I should have had. During a section of Monster Marsh, you need to have a protective force field to go across the marsh, and I left the force field because I wanted to see how much damage it would do. This was not a good idea in a run where I only had one life, but I still did it anyway. When I went into the river at first, it wasn't doing any damage to me at all, so I just tried to cross it myself, and then out of nowhere, it started doing hundreds of ticks of damage at a time. Again, this is completely my fault because I was being an idiot, and it even got worse since I was about to go into an area with a bunch of enemies and a villain boss fight. Eventually, I was able to get some food before the I-5 fight, and I-5 put up a decent challenge. Again, not to the point where I was scared I was gonna die, but my health was decently low. But the thing is, there was an arena battle at the end of this level, and entering that battle I was at 298 health. Thankfully, I got some pizza at the beginning of the arena battle and got to a good amount of health and finished the level. Telescope Towers is probably one of the most disappointingly easy levels in the series. This mostly has to do with the Dreamcatcher boss fight. Remember, she's a Doom Raider, and her fight is easier than a lot of non-Doom Raider villain boss fights. I mean, seriously, did they even playtest this boss fight? The level itself is decently challenging, but that boss fight at the end just really leaves a sour taste in your mouth. I mean, Wallop destroyed her. Mystic Mill I've always thought was a bit of a sleeper level. To me at least, it's a good challenge. To start the level, the game glitched for some reason, and the Mabu army didn't follow me into the mill, so I couldn't get to the rest of the level, and I was about to leave actually, but right before that they finally decided to show up. Hey, let's go. And I was able to get to the end of the level. During the final fight of the chapter, I got banged up a bit by some enemies and Krakenstein landed a good hit on me, but I finished the level. Secret Sewers of Supreme Stink has an arena battle at the end, so I was a bit concerned about that, but it turns out I should have just been concerned about the entire level because at the beginning of the level, I was already down to 241 health because of my carelessness in a section. I really shouldn't have been at this low amount of health, but because I just wasn't very locked in, I was getting damage done to me a lot. Fortunately though, through the course of the level, I was able to find food, so when I got to the arena battle, I was up a bunch of HP. And to be honest, the arena battle wasn't that hard. The hardest part fittingly was the villain boss fight in fisticuffs. I guess because Wallop is just so big and slow, it's a tad hard to dodge his attacks, but once I got used to him, I was able to end the fight and the level. Okay, now for another Doom Raider boss fight in Willikin Workshop. For the most part, the level right before the fight wasn't too bad, but literally right before the Dr. Grant Case boss fight, you have to fight a bunch of Willikins, and that got me down to 574 health entering the villain boss fight. But sometimes Crankcase's goo barrels drop food, and I was able to heal up. Since Crankcase really doesn't indirectly fight you in this battle besides spinning towards you in the fight, it wasn't really that bad as long as you can defeat his giant wood monsters he makes, and I was able to soundly defeat Crankcase. Time Town, the only level in Trap Team where you don't have to fight any trappable villains. So if you guessed that this is one of the easiest levels in the game, you would be correct. This level isn't necessarily an endgame level, but it's more than halfway through the game and it presents no challenge. At this point in Trap Team, villains were spread so thin. After chapter 8, there are no levels that have more than 2 villains, and we get another level later that only features 1 villain too. Wolfgang is probably the hardest boss fight in the game that isn't chaos, and he is in the next level, the future of Skylands. For the longest time in this level, I was doing good, but right when I entered the big bad Wolfer, I got pieced up by multiple Blastertrons. Thankfully, I guessed that there was food in a certain section of the level and got back up to 780 going into the boss fight. I was doing pretty good during the beginning of the fight, but once the fight went into 2D mode, it got way more difficult. It was just too hard to dodge Wolfgang's attacks in the 2D section since Wallop is so big. Then the laser section came, probably one of the hardest sections of the fight. I was already at low health, and the Wallop being huge, it was just so hard to dodge the lasers. Dude. Oh, man. Dude. I feel like that's a boss fight I could have gotten through, man. I feel like that's a boss fight I probably could have gotten through. I don't want to make up excuses, but dude, Wallop, using Wallop, trying to get through that laser section with Wallop, that's tough. That's definitely tough. I'm not gonna lie. Oh man, no, I didn't think I was gonna be able to beat Chaos on this game, but I did think that I might at least get to him. But you know, it happens. You know, the next two games, Superchargers and Imaginators, are probably some of the two easiest games of the series, so hopefully I can get through those. I didn't really ever think I was going to get the Trap Team, if I'm being honest, but I was definitely going to try. But I mean, it does kind of make sense I go out with Wallop on Wolfgang just because, that laser section, Wallop is so clunky and big, like, yeah, it's tough to get through. But yeah, this is the worst I've done so far. So yeah, see you guys in the next part. You know, it does suck that I only made it to level 13 in Trap Team. I mean, there is only 18 levels, but still that doesn't feel like a lot of levels. And I feel like maybe if I could have gotten past the Wolfgang boss fight, that I would have been able to make it to the Chaos boss fight, since for me at least the Golden Queen boss fight has always been way easier than the Wolfgang one. But I didn't make it past the Wolfgang one, so you know, we'll never know. Also, my theory I said before the run was correct. There was only one scare in this entire run because, like I already pointed out, right before I die isn't a scare since I didn't see it through. So with one scare in 13 levels, that's one scare for every 13 levels in Trap Team. We have played, though, the hardest game in this series. So let's see what type of challenge Superchargers brings us. When it came to Superchargers, I was down to 3 Skylanders on who would be used, that being Spitfire, Thrillipede, and Deep Dive Gilgrunt. I think these Skylanders are all pretty great in Superchargers, but in the end I went with Deep Dive Gilgrunt because of his attack damage and DPS. This dude does a lot of damage in this game, and for the vehicle I was just going to use Hot Streak because that's my favorite vehicle. Also, I was thinking about making it where if I die in a vehicle it doesn't count, but since vehicles are such a big part of this game, if I do die in a vehicle it will count. I'm also not going to do any of the side sea or air vehicle sections. I'm strictly just going through the level with the land sections you need to do. Okay, I'm not going to waste your time. Level 1, the Rip to Skylands, was easy. I know, that's a shocker, right? And level 2, Cloud Breather's Crag, was also light work. Again, I know, you can't believe this. The Cloud Kingdom, the 3rd level in this game, also presented no challenge to Deep Dive Gilgrunt. The first time it ever got real during the run was the Count Moneybone boss fight. I absolutely despise this boss fight. First of all, it's a vehicle boss fight, which already sucks, but you have to fight him in multiple different views, and it doesn't matter how much I play this boss fight. The controls when you're on the walls are still so hard for me to understand. It feels like I'm never going in the right direction, and it's just such an annoying fight. I did get the fight over though without it getting too bad. For a level that's just all fighting, Battle Brawl Island wasn't too bad to get through. The mini boss fights in this chapter have really never been that challenging. The spell slams at least looks cool though. Spellpunk Library, despite being a very weird chapter in the series with playing in 2D, it didn't make it harder, as I got past this level pretty quickly. Gadfly Glades is the halfway point in this game, and even though no scare happened in this level, it was the most challenging so far. For whatever reason, the first land vehicle section, I had a really hard time making the collector girl stomp on the bugs. I actually lost all my vehicle health during this part, but I eventually got the hang of it and was able to get to the end of the section. The bug enemies in this level, honestly, were just way more hard than anything that was previously presented in the game, so I was kind of shocked when I was getting damaged a lot by them. Like, out of all the levels, I wasn't expecting Gadfly Glades to be a difficulty spike in this game. Thanks to the slime bugs, I was down all the way to 400 health, which is about half of Gilgrunt's health. But I got some food and finished the second land vehicle section of the level and skipped past some enemies to get to the third and final land vehicle section. And even with stomping bugs back, this time I was ready for them and ended the level. After Gadfly Glades, which was somewhat a difficult level, Captain Cluck's King-Sized Chicken was anything but that. Flynn? What was that? What was that? Flynn? Like, oh. She sounded so weird during that. Alright. The hardest thing actually was putting the oversized chickens in their air vents during the vehicle sections, which has to be one of my least favorite things to do in the entire game. I mean, seriously, who on earth thinks this is fun? It's actually very annoying for no reason, and this is also what you have to do to defeat Captain Cluck instead of actually fighting him. Great. Even though Monstrous Isles has 3 boss fights inside the chapter, it's not that hard of a level. It is cool that you get to be big though. The Terror Shark was a piece of cake, the Beach Bomber wasn't that bad either, and fittingly the Thunder Toe was the hardest out of the 3. But that didn't mean he was a super challenging boss fight. Goodbye, Thunder Toe. Oh, shoot. No, never mind. Okay, goodbye now. See you later. Bye-bye. Ridepocalypse Demo Derby is one of the only levels in the series that isn't really a level since you're only in a vehicle pretty much the entire time. There's no regular boss fights, they're all vehicle bosses, and Turbo Teeth, the second boss in the level, was probably the hardest to get through, even though there was still one after him. Okay, now we are officially in the end game of Superchargers because the next level, the Vault of the Ancients, is the 3rd to last level in the game, and it's not hard at all. Amazing. It's still one of the coolest levels in the series though, so at least it has that. But like I said, when it comes to difficulty, for one of the final levels, it's pretty underwhelming. And pretty much the same thing can be said for the Bandit Train. The level feels like it takes forever too, just because you have to go through so many different crates in the chapter. And the only really thing you could consider difficult is the boss fight at the end against Blubberbeard. You know the super well-known Skylanders boss fight, Blubberbeard?
I'm the captain of this here train, Skylander.
This level to me has always just felt out of nowhere. It's the 2nd to last level in Superchargers and it's super short and has no vehicle sections. But for now, for the 3rd time in the video, we have reached the final level. Normally I do play the Sky section at the beginning of the Sky Eater, but here we're gonna skip it. The actual level part of this chapter is actually very short because they save all the main meat of the level for the boss fights. I got through the non-boss fight parts of this chapter super quickly and it really wasn't that hard either. Now we're at the first of 2 boss fights during this chapter. And with the Chaos one, there is really nothing to talk about with this fight. It's not the main boss fight of the game, so it's a whole lot easier than a normal Chaos boss fight, but I mean, I'm still playing in hard mode. This should be a bit challenging. Oh well, on to the final boss fight of the game, and the only thing standing in the way of a perfect run of Superchargers is the darkness. For the longest time during the darkness boss fight, I felt like I was 100% gonna get through it, but during the final part of the boss fight, it got real. I was able to dodge the giant purple things the darkness shot at you for the entire fight, but right near the end, they got really hard to dodge and I lost all my vehicle health. I was getting hit a lot now. I was down to 680, then 550, then... Come on.
A new day is dawning. Your moment is near. So tap off your...
Yes. Oh my god, things got real there for a sec. Jeez. Oh my god. Hold up. I do not remember that part of the fight being like that hard. Like, dude, I lost like so much health. Like, I lost pretty much like 90% of my health with vehicle and Skylander combined on that like final section of the fight. I don't know what happened there. Almost choked it. Oh my gosh, that's definitely a scare. But besides that, I mean this game was pretty easy. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if it was easier than Swap Force. I think, you know, I think that what's it called? I think there was only one scare this run, and it was right there. I can't remember any other scare. So yeah, you know, Superchargers, it is what it is. I don't like the vehicle sections. It sucks that I almost like the run could have ended on a vehicle section. The game, I'll always say the Superchargers, I don't care if it's the gimmick, the game should have never ended with a boss fight in a vehicle. I hate it. But yeah, Imaginators doesn't have the reputation of being that hard of a game, and we're gonna be able to use the Sensei during that too, so hopefully that'll be easy. Because right now, I'm 2-1 in final levels because I made the final level in Spyro's Adventure, lost. So I was 0-1. Didn't make it in Giants. Made it in Swap Force, 1-1. Didn't make it in Trap Team. And now I made it in Superchargers. So I'm 2-1. So if I can beat Imaginators, I'll at least gone 3-3 the entire series. But yeah, anyway, let's get to Imaginators. So I ended up going 2 for 2 on Vicarious Vision games. Like I said in the Swap Force segment, they've always been the easiest for me. And with one scare being in the final level and there being 13 levels, that's one scare for every 13 levels, which ties Trap Team for least, but I never finished Trap Team and I finished Superchargers, so I feel like that means a lot more for Superchargers. But now we only have one game left, which happens to be my favorite. Let's get into Imaginators. Imaginators probably has the most consistently great roster of all 6 Skylanders games, so this was probably going to be the hardest game to find the most OP Skylander for. Obviously, I was going to disqualify Imaginator figures from consideration for this video since they can go beyond level 20 and it'd pretty much be an instant win. I want the game to still be challenging even though I am using the most OP Skylander. After a lot of consideration, I was down to Wildstorm, Chain Reaction, Grave Clobber, and Chaos. In the end, I went with Chain Reaction. The main reason why I did this was because Chain Reaction has a very similar move that Spyro did, where he can go up in the sky for a couple seconds and be immune to any damage in that time. He can also deal damage in this mode, and paired with the fact that he already deals a whole lot of damage, made him the final Skylander used in this video. Hey, what's up, Post-Production Gamer TV here. I realized that I never stated this, but I made a rule for myself that I'm not allowed to use Sky Cheese in this run just because it's kind of like a get out of jail free card, which I really don't want to use. So yeah, sorry that I didn't say it in the video, but Sky Cheese, I'm not using them during this run. Okay, first level, Cradle of Creation, and no surprise here, it was over with quite quickly, although the Sorcerer Doomlander was a tad annoying. Mushroom River for a second level is a bit difficult, and the Brawler Doomlander put up a good fight, but no scare here. Skylarville is the only main story level in Imaginators besides the final level where Doomlander isn't right at the end of the level, and the Bazooka Doomlander here was no match for Chain Reaction. Neither was the evil sea monster that they used instead of a Doomlander at the end of the level. However, the Swashbuckler Doomlander in the next chapter, Shellmont Shores, was noticeably a whole lot easier than the last couple of Doomlanders we faced. But the actual level was a decent challenge. Still got through it without a scare though. However, Sky Fortress was a bit different. Despite there being a whole lot of heavy enemies, for the most part Sky Fortress wasn't too bad. But that Night Doomlander, let's just say things got scary real fast. Just like the level, the Night Doomlander for the majority of the time was fine, but once Chaos put a Wrecking Ball into the fight, it got a whole lot worse. The arena you fight the Night Doomlander in is super small, and since I couldn't just move anywhere in the arena to avoid the Knight's attacks because of the Wrecking Ball, he was able to get a couple hits on me, and I was at 198 health, and right when I defeated him, the Wrecking Ball hit me and got me all the way down to 29 health. Oh, please die, please die, please die, please die. There we go. Ooh, wow. Wow. Wow, that was close. Jeez Louise. This was really weird since I thought I would get some sort of post-boss defeat immunity from the Wrecking Ball, but nope, not at all. If I was only 29 damage points lower, I would have been defeated here. I originally was not going to count this part of the run as a scare, since after the Wrecking Ball hit me, I was not in danger to get defeated. But I was genuinely scared for a fraction of a second after that Wrecking Ball hit me, so I guess by technicality, this is scare 1 of the run. After this level, the famed Guacamole Monster boss fight is next. I could complain about this fight, but I mean the Guacamole Monster is such low-hanging fruit at this point, I really don't think I need to. It's just the turret section that's a boss fight. Ooh, it's this level. Aw, man. Aw, great. Fizzland. Now, I love Imaginators, but Fizzland is definitely not a reason why I do. Besides it being a terrible level, it too is not a hard one. I can say the Ninja Doomlander was probably the second hardest Doomlander to date, only behind the Knight, so that was at least something, but it never got too scare-worthy during his fight. But the Golden Arcade did bring something scare-worthy. Like pretty much every other level so far, the chapter of the Golden Arcade was a stress-free one, but dang, that Doomlander boss fight. The Smasher Doomlander is probably the weirdest fight out of all the Doomlanders, mostly because you are forced to fight the boss in 2D, which honestly I really do not like. Something else I don't like is that midway through the fight, Chaos spawns fire spell punks, which take way more damage to kill than any regular spell punk, and they move out of your reach, so you can't even really defeat them without extraordinary effort. It's almost like these spell punks were not even supposed to be defeated, and they are more just like supposed to be there as obstacles, and even if that's the case, I really don't like that idea. It's already hard enough to avoid the Smasher Doomlander because you're in 2D in a pretty small area, and now you have to avoid fireballs being shot at you. Before the spell punks were brought in, I was doing just fine, but once they were in, I lost a lot of health real quick. While trying to defeat one of the spell punks, the other one's fireball hit me, and it got me all the way down to 136 health, which is the second scare of the run. I mean, I really thought it was over right here, but Chain Reaction's lightning move single-handedly saved this run. Every time right before the Smasher Doomlander would attack, I would go up in the sky to avoid the attack. While I was doing this, I was able to defeat both spell punks, which just left me with the Smasher Doomlander alone. And even though it took me a long time to defeat him, since I could really only attack him while in the lightning mode, after a very long time, I defeated the Smasher Doomlander. Oh my gosh, thank goodness. Oh, I thought I was gonna die there. Jeez. That took forever. The following chapter is Dragon Temple, which in my opinion has the hardest enemies of the entire game. For some reason, the sheep enemies just take a lot of damage to defeat for pretty much no reason. And finally, at the end of the level, you have to fight the Bowslinger Doomlander. He shoots multiple arrows at a time and also will sometimes shoot slow arrows that explode that you have to move around to avoid. Unfortunately, like last time, Chaos spawns other enemies during the fight. This time though, you can actually defeat them like normal. He spawns these magic sheep which are pretty annoying to deal with, but nothing horrible like the fire spell punks. Although by the near end of the fight, I was down to only 255 health. When I was trying to jump over one of the Bowslinger's arrows, I accidentally jumped too soon and landed right on one of his arrows, which brought me down to 134 health. And right here, I was very scared the run was going to end, especially because Chaos spawned more sheep right after this. Thankfully though, one of those sheep dropped food and I got back up to 294 health, and with getting more food, I was able to end the fight. Also, when I got down to 134 health, that was the third scare of the run. Okay, time for the worst probably part of Imaginators. The cake part sections. You know, I think this is probably the only time in the video where I'm recording something that isn't a level. Like every other part of the video, I'm, recording the levels as I go, but I kind of have to record this stuff because I can die while trying to get the cake parts, even though I'm not going into any levels. It's really weird. Okay, like I just said, we are at the infamous cake collection part of Imaginators. I was really hoping that there would be no scare during this part because it would mess up the scare per level, since you aren't really going to any levels during this part. But even without a scare, I was wondering if I would count this entire section as a level, since you can get defeated during this part of the game. And that's what I'm going to do. So at the end of the Imaginator section, I'm going to count this cake part as a level. But to be honest with you, the cake section for me wasn't hard at all. I got the first part after battling in Battle Brawl. I got the second part by destroying an evil Creationtron. The third part was attained by saving blobbers in a mausoleum. For the fourth part, all I had to do was battle some vultures in the hub world. I got the fifth part by confronting some dude named Mayor King Super King. The sixth part I got by just exploring a tunnel in the hub world. The seventh part I got by destroying some towers for Buzz. And finally, the eighth and final part I got in a secret area of the Imaginators hub. And now that we have all the cake parts we need, we can go to what's probably the hardest level in Imaginators, Abandoned Amusement Park. There are rat enemies in this level, and the rats aren't terrible on their own, but there is a certain type of rat which throws some sort of toxic cheese in this level that can mutate regular rats into super powerful rats. Thankfully, during the level, I was able to avoid them by either defeating all the regular rats at first so they couldn't eat the toxic cheese, or really quickly defeating the trash can rats who throw the cheese so they couldn't even throw the cheese in the first place. This strategy worked since I got to the Doomlander fight at full health, but unfortunately for me, the quick shot Doomlander is by far not only the hardest Doomlander in the game, but also just the hardest boss fight in the game. The beginning of his fight was actually really easy, but once the quick shot Doomlander starts shooting out his ricochet bullets is when the battle gets really difficult. It wouldn't be so bad if you knew where his bullets were going to bounce to next, but the bullet has no set path, so you just kind of have to guess where it's going to bounce and hope you can avoid it. It's even worse when the Doomlander starts shooting out two at a time, so now there are two projectiles bouncing off the walls and you have no idea where they might go, with on top of that the Doomlander already shooting bullets at you. And also midway through the fight, the Doomlander gets the ability to shoot out a shockwave which you have to jump to avoid. My plan was to just try to use Chain Reaction's lightning attack while the Doomlander's ricochet bullets were out, and right when they'd go away, I'd attack him for as long as I could. This plan was working, but I was still losing health during the battle. When the Doomlander was at very low health, I landed from a lightning attack and both the bouncing bullets hit me and got me all the way down to 198 health. And just a couple more hits on me and Chain Reaction would be defeated. However, it also only took a couple more hits to defeat the quick shot Doomlander. Right when I got hit by both those bullets was the fourth scare of the run, but thankfully I was able to end this very hard fight. Okay, we are finally here, the final level of the final game for this video, the Lair of Chaos. In this level, you have to fight the Chaos clones, and to be honest, they are not that hard. It also doesn't help that in the final level of the game, you get healing pads before the final boss fight. As you can tell by my speech so far, the level before the Chaos boss fight wasn't a challenge for Chain Reaction. But now the final test of the game, and of the entire video is here, Super Ultra Instinct Chaos. In this battle, you have to fight Chaos as well as all the previous Doomlanders you have defeated, and the Sentinel Doomlanders in this level, because I guess Toys for Bob didn't think he was good enough to get his own level. Chaos in this fight actually never changes his attacks. His only attack during this fight is him making shockwaves that you have to jump over. The main part of the fight is actually just avoiding and attacking all the mini Doomlanders he spawns. Out of all the Doomlanders Chaos spawns, the hardest one to deal with, just like the main game, was the quick shot Doomlander. The quick shots were pretty much the only reason I got down to 241 health in the first place. But that was actually the lowest I got to during this fight because I was able to defeat Chaos without a scare.
Bada boom, bada bing.
Okay.
Low-key kind of forgot that there isn't any credits, or at least is there any credits for Imaginators? Whatever. Doesn't matter. You know, so beat the game. I didn't think I was gonna beat the game. I go 2 for 2 on Vicarious Vision games, and I go 1 for 3 on Toys for Bob's game. Imaginators is actually the only Toys for Bob game I beat because I lost in Spyro's Adventure, I lost Trap Team, I lost Giants, but I beat Imaginators, so I'm glad. I really wanted to beat this game because I wanted the video to go out on a high note, you know? So, yeah. I overall went 3 for 3. I lost 3 games. I won 3 games. So, yeah. Imaginators wasn't too bad. That chain reaction, his lightning ability, single-handedly saved me, like, multiple times. Like I said, him being able to go up into the sky with the lightning ability, that's just insane. Great ability. Very OP ability if you ask me. But yeah, I'm super glad we beat Imaginators because I really wanted this video to go out on a high note, but we did it.
We did it! Oh my God, we did it!
This was the only final boss fight in the entire video that didn't end with me getting defeated or at least a scare. Since I counted the cake parts as levels, there were 4 scares in 11 levels in this game, which is an average of 1 scare for every 2.75 levels. Something I wanted to do at the end of this video was add up every scare and add up every level to see how many scares there were during this entire game. So in the entire run of this video we had 15 scares, and in the entire video we played 90 levels. So for the entire video there was 1 scare for every 6 levels, which in my opinion is kind of crazy that with all those levels and all those scares, we got an even number as the final per level stat. In the end, Imaginators actually had the highest scare per level with 1 scare for every 2.75 levels, and Superchargers and Trap Team are tied for the least with only 1 scare for every 13 levels. However, in my opinion, Trap Team was the hardest game while Superchargers was the easiest, so maybe the 1 scare per level isn't the best stat out there, but at least it's there. Anyway, this video is on the longer side, so I think it's time to finally wrap it up. If you made it through the entire video, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Also, make sure to buy Sky Sleeves.